So I'm worried that I'm an optimist. Back when I was a boy, dinosaurs roamed the earth. I had to walk to school through 18-foot snowdrifts, uphill both ways. This was over in St. Pete. But the world was different back then. There was conflict. I personally lived through the civil rights movement and saw the violence and the hate and the extremism. Back when I was in grade school, the Cuban Missile Crisis occurred, and we were hiding under our desk, literally, and they decided that wasn't good enough, so they're going to send us home. And as we evacuated the school, you could see the lines of planes in the sky coming into MacDill, getting ready for the invasion. Literally lines of planes in the sky. In the 1960s, the bloodbaths of the 20th century were over. Or maybe they were just beginning, World War II, Vietnam, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of conflict back then. Now, as a boy, my father died when I was a toddler. And the only memory I have of my father is he brought home a watch for me and my brother one day from work. And I saw the smile on his face as I promptly took mine apart. Yeah, I'm one of those. So, my mother was left penniless, and she survived on a widow's pension, raising 2 boys. And oh, by the way, she put herself through school to get a profession where she could make some money while she was doing that. So as I got older, I was a latchkey kid. And as a latchkey kid, I was exposed to a lot of gang stuff and crime in the neighborhood. But my fascination was making pyrotechnics and explosives and entertaining those guys. So I didn't have to participate in their stuff. Science is my fascination, but I was raised Catholic, and I had this conflict. My mother was Irish, for God's sake. And I had this conflict between religion and science. I had to rationalize religious faith with scientific objectivism. Now, that brings us back to conflict. The net result of the faith for me is I respect and appreciate the scientific method, but I have this awe of the world and the universe, which brings me to kind of a spiritualism, not necessarily a faith or a religion. Therein lies the issue that I struggle with today. Mankind and life thrives on conflict. If you believe in evolution, where life came out of the steaming ocean, and then the moon and the tides would ebb and flow, and things would change. They wouldn't stay the same. And life found a way to go from the oceans onto the dry land. The Bible says the meek shall inherit the earth, but evolution says only the strong survive. How do we merge these two? Now, I think peace on earth means stagnation. Nothing changes. Only the strong survive. So there should be conflict. But that doesn't justify violence and extremism or other immoral behaviors. There can be conflict. But what is meek? We want to inherit the earth, right? Do we want to be part of that violence and conflict? Or do we want to stand by and watch it and maybe look for compromises? Now, there was a Jesuit priest once who said to me, he said, Arnie, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who glue TV knobs onto the... Oh wait, that was a former life. The hottest places in hell are reserved for those who do not take a stand. So should you be part of the conflict? Should you be over there on this side, Or should you be over here on this side? Which do you choose? Well, what if you believe they're both wrong? What if you believe there is a middle ground? Is that being meek and cowardly? No. We allow the extremists, we allow the crazies to come up with new ideas. We don't want to be stagnant. We're all happily swimming in that sea, and there's dry land. And there's something about to eat me, so I'm going to go up on that dry land. But how do I survive on that dry land? So conflict and change is a good thing, but not the extremism and the violence. I think you can take a stand to compromise. You can allow conflicts to rise and the people to rage about it. And then you take the best to improve everybody's life. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.